You are lying in the dark phone screen, still glowing softly beside you. When I tell you something quietly impossible, under your skin, there is a forest that never sees the sun. It is not made of trees or leaves, but of branching nerves, winding blood vessels, and microscopic cities of life that never sleep. While the world expects you to rest, these tiny worlds hum along slow and patient, as if they have all the time in the universe. You have done enough for today. Emails, messages, half-finished thoughts, all of them still buzzing faintly around the edges of your mind. You tap a video that promises a relaxing science story, to fall asleep, to something about scientific oddities for deep sleep, half out of curiosity and half out of gentle desperation. If you are hearing this now, it means a part of you is still awake, still reaching for one more strange, soothing thing before surrendering to the night. In this space, you do not have to remember anything. There is no quiz, no test, no expectation that you will keep up. These are sleepy science stories for overthinking minds at night, meant to drift around you like slow-moving clouds. You can let your breath fall into its own unhurried rhythm, in and out, as these tiny, hidden worlds under your skin begin to introduce themselves. If you could shrink down far below the scale of dust and threads, you would pass through the surface of your skin as if it were not a barrier, but a landscape. The outer layer that looks so smooth from here is up close, a cracked plane of overlapping plates, like a dry riverbed on an alien planet. Each plate is a dead cell, flattened and filled with tough protein stacked and layered to keep you safe. They break off and drift away all the time, invisible snow made of you. Beneath that dry plain, living cells wait in quiet rows. Some are slowly pushing upward, preparing to become the next layer of armor. Others are busy fixing tiny injuries you never notice, stitching you together cell by cell. They do this whether you feel strong or fragile, whether you think well of yourself or not. They have one job: to keep the boundary of you unbroken. There is another world tucked into the folds and hidden corners of your skin. The microscopic guests you carry with you always. Bacteria, mostly harmless, some helpful form. Gentle communities along the surface. To them, you are not a single person, but a vast warm continent. A bead of sweat is a lake. A pore is a canyon. A fine hair is a towering tree that bends in the slow wind of your movements. It might feel strange to think of yourself as a planet for microorganisms, but this is a quiet truth. These guests help train your immune system, make certain molecules, and sometimes keep more dangerous invaders away just by occupying space. Scientists call this shifting collection of tiny residents a microbiome. Tonight, instead of worrying about everything you were supposed to do, you can imagine that by simply existing, you are hosting entire civilizations that depend on your warmth. Your nervous system threads through this landscape like a network of glowing roots. Every gentle touch on your arm, every shift of the sheets sends a ripple through these nerve fibers. At the very tips are receptors, proteins shaped in delicate patterns, waiting for pressure, warmth, or stretch. When they feel something, they change shape, opening little gates that let charged particles rush in. The signal that moves toward your brain is not a flash of urgency by default. It is just information. A small electrical whisper saying, "Something touched us here." Even now, as you lie in bed, most of these whispers never reach your conscious mind. Tiny muscles around blood vessels relax and tighten. Sweat glands quiet down as the day's heat fades. Cells send one another brief messages that say in their own chemical way, everything is still all right. Your body runs a soft background chorus so that your thoughts can finally loosen their grip. One of the strangest things about the tiny worlds under your skin is how coordinated they are without a single central voice. There is no mayor of your skin, no commander-in-chief in your bloodstream. Each cell follows simple rules, paying attention only to the signals it can sense: a molecule drifting past a stretch in the membrane, a change in temperature. From those small local decisions, a whole living person continues to exist. You do not have to supervise. You are held together by a quiet, emergent order. Later tonight, if you are still awake, we will drift even smaller down to the level of proteins that fold and unfold like sleepy origami, and to molecular machines that walk along tracks inside your cells, carrying cargo like slow, determined porters in a city that never stops. For now, you can simply rest in the idea that there are layers of activity beneath your awareness, humming softly on your behalf. If you are listening while the world around you sleeps, you are not alone. There are others scattered across cities and countries, lying in their own beds, with phones glowing faintly in the dark, listening to weird science facts told in a calm bedtime voice. You are part of a quiet constellation of minds who find comfort in knowing that reality is stranger and more intricate than it appears at first glance. You might feel a small wave of guilt about being awake, about scrolling so late, about choosing another video instead of forcing yourself to close your eyes. It is all right. In this little corner of the universe, there is no judgment. You are allowed to be exactly as you are: tired, curious, a little restless, and ready for a story that does not demand anything from you. This is relaxing science for overthinking minds at night, a sleepy science story for adults who love strange facts, and you are welcome here. As your breathing settles, the edges of the day can begin to blur. The to-do lists, the headlines, the unfinished messages, they can stand just outside the door for a while. Under your skin, tiny forests of cells and roots of nerve fibers and drifting microscopic guests will keep doing what they have always done. You can imagine them as caretakers keeping watch while you sleep, each one tending to its own small task with unhurried care. In the next part, if your eyes happen to still be open, we will follow one drop of your blood as it travels through winding vessels, past valves, and hidden crossroads, visiting organs that glow with quiet, necessary work. And whether you are awake to hear it or already far away in dreams, your inner worlds will continue their patient, tiny miracles all the same. The journey begins with a single, quiet pulse in your chest. You may feel it as a soft thud against the mattress, or not notice it all. But your heart has been keeping this steady rhythm since before you took your first breath. Right now, as you lie here, it sends out a tiny wave of pressure that pushes a drop of blood into narrow tunnels that run everywhere under your skin, a hidden river system that never sees daylight. If you could shrink down And right inside that drop, you would find yourself in a corridor that moves. The walls are made of living cells, smooth and attentive. They sense chemicals, pressure, stretch. The flow around you is laminar, a quiet sliding of layers like pages of silk gliding over one another. In wide vessels, the blood moves more slowly near the walls and faster in the middle, forming an invisible highway where different cells drift in different lanes. The red blood cells are the most common travelers. They are not spheres, but soft discs pressed in at the center, like cushions someone has gently pinched. This shape, called bacon cave, is not just an odd design choice by evolution. It gives them more surface area to carry oxygen and lets them bend and fold when the road narrows. In the widest vessels, they float with space around them, turning lazily like leaves in a slow stream. Soon, the corridor tightens. The vessel branches again and again, each fork sending the drop into smaller and more personal territory. Capillaries are so narrow that red blood cells must squeeze through single file, bending into tiny crescents to pass. It looks almost comical, like trying to push a soft pillow through a narrow door. Yet they do this thousands of times a day, without complaint, without drama. Just a quiet, patient persistence. As the drop passes through these capillaries, it skims close to the cells that make up your muscles, your organs, your skin. On one side of the capillary wall, a cell is working, using oxygen to power its inner machinery. On the other side, the red blood cell arrives like a tiny delivery truck. A molecule of oxygen slips across, traded for carbon dioxide, the exhaust of metabolism. There is no bargaining, no noise, just diffusion, a natural falling from where there is more to where there is less. You do not feel any of this directly, but it is happening even as you listen. You could be worried replaying conversations or thinking about tomorrow's tasks, and still, each cell receives what it needs. Your body does not wait for you to be perfectly calm to keep you alive. It understands that your mind can be crowded while your inner systems remain quietly loyal. Further along our drop approaches the heart, again carried by veins that slope gently upward even against gravity. Some of these veins have tiny one-way valves, folds of tissue that open when blood moves forward and close when it tries to slip back. When you walk or flex your leg muscles, you squeeze these veins and help push blood upward toward your chest like soft, built-in pumps. Tonight, as you are still, gravity has a little more to say, but the system adjusts, finding a balance between rest and return. Inside the heart, another oddity waits. The rhythm you feel is not ordered by a metronome in your brain. Instead, a small cluster of cells in the right atrium, called the sinoatrial node, generates electrical pulses on its own. These cells are natural pacemakers. Even if you took them out and placed them in a warm dish with the right fluid, they would continue to beat, sending out pulses with the same quiet determination. Your heart is, in that sense, partly self-governing, a drum that has learned to play its own slow song. The electricity spreads through the heart in a carefully timed wave. First, the upper chambers squeeze, then the lower ones, sending blood to the lungs and the rest of the body. There are pathways and tiny delays built into the tissue, like carefully placed pauses in a piece of music. If the signals moved too quickly, the heart would flap without direction. If they moved too slowly, the circulation would stall. Instead, they flow just fast enough and just slow enough to keep you here listening, breathing. Later, if you are still awake, we will travel inward again deeper than cells, deeper than the Red River itself, to the proteins and molecular machines that make all of this possible. For now, it can be enough to know that while you rest, a handmade rhythm continues untouched by your worries, untouched by your self-criticism. There is another tiny world hiding in your blood, the immune cells that drift like quiet guardians. Some are always on patrol, examining surfaces for signs of danger. Others wait in lymph nodes, those small, soft stations along the pathways of fluid that runs parallel to your veins. When they meet something unfamiliar, they do not panic. They sample, analyze, communicate. Chemical messages pass between them, like notes between thoughtful colleagues. Is this safe? Is this harmful? What should we do? Even when you feel alone, there are billions of these tiny beings working together on your behalf. They remember past infections more faithfully than your conscious memory recalls past years. A vaccine given long ago still echoes in the way they respond. To them, you are not your mistakes or your unfinished tasks. You are simply home, the terrain they are sworn to defend. You might notice your breath again now. Perhaps a little slower, a little heavier. You do not need to force it. Your body knows how to slide toward rest if you give it even a small permission. You can let your thoughts trail after this wandering drop of blood, or let them curl up somewhere softer. You can listen closely, or let the words blur into a soft background texture, like the murmur of a distant river at night. In the next part, if you are still here, we will leave the flowing tunnels of your bloodstream and visit the strange electrical gardens of your nervous system, where tiny sparks leap between cells across gaps so small they might as well be oceans, carrying thoughts, memories, and the gentle fading of consciousness into sleep. You might imagine your nervous system as a kind of dimly lit city that never fully sleeps. Streets of nerve fibers run from your skin inward, from your organs upward, converging toward that quiet control room we call the brain. Even now, while you lie here listening, invisible traffic moves along those streets, pulses of electricity, tiny waves of voltage that rise and fall along delicate membranes. Each nerve cell or neuron has its own shape and personality. Some stretch long, like narrow trees whose branches reach out to touch distant neighbors. Others are compact and star-shaped, gathering many incoming signals and deciding in a fraction of a second whether to pass them on. To create that fleeting spark of sensation, when the blanket brushes your ankle, a chain of these cells must fire in the right order, passing the message inward with a precision you never have to supervise. The electricity they use is not like the harsh crackle of static or the bright flash of lightning. It is measured in tiny differences in charge created by ions, small charged particles moving across a cell's surface. At rest, each neuron carefully keeps more positive charge outside than inside, like a coiled spring of possibility. When the right signal arrives, channels in the membrane open and close in rapid sequence, letting ions rush through. The result is a traveling wave of change, an action potential slipping along the cell like a whisper past down a long hallway. That wave cannot jump from one neuron's wiring to the next by itself. There is always a small gap, a synapse between them. At the end of the neuron's branch, the electrical signal pauses and is translated into chemistry. Tiny sacs filled with neurotransmitter substances move toward the edge fuse with the membrane and release their contents into the synaptic space. It is like sprinkling a handful of keys into the air, each shaped to fit a certain lock. On the far side of the gap, the next neuron surface is dotted with those lock's receptors waiting quietly. When the right key drifts by and attaches, the receptor shifts its shape and opens a channel. Ions rush in or out, and the receiving neuron adjusts its internal balance of charge, deciding whether this is the moment to pass the message along. All of this happens in thousandths of a second, again and again, in countless places at once, as you listen, as you breathe, as you slowly soften into the mattress. You do not need to keep track of these signals. You do not need to remember which neurotransmitter does what or which receptor belongs where. Your nervous system does not ask you to manage it. It simply invites you to inhabit its results. The sound of these words, the softness of the pillow, the slight weight of the blanket on your chest, all of these are the end product of millions of tiny handoffs between neurons that never once demand your conscious attention. Among these neural cities live other quieter residents, glial cells. For a long time, they were thought of as mere support staff, the scaffolding that holds the neurons in place. But over the years, scientists have discovered that glia do far more. Some wrap their membranes around nerve fibers, forming insulating layers that help signals travel faster and more reliably, like adding smooth protective covering to important cables. Others help clean up chemical clutter in synapses or guide growing neurons toward their proper destinations in the developing brain. There are even glial cells that seem to talk back, influencing how neurons fire when they rest and how connections strengthen or fade. In your brain, these conversations shape what you notice and what you ignore, what you remember, and what gently dissolves into forgetfulness. Tonight, they are part of the reason certain worries grow quieter as you listen, while other details like the exact phrasing of these sentences may already be slipping away. Later, if you are still awake, we will wander into one of the strangest tiny worlds under your skin, the way your gut and your brain whisper to one another through nerves, hormones, and chemical messengers, forming a conversation that goes on beneath your awareness. For now, you can let this image of electrical gardens and glial caretakers linger like distant neighborhoods glimpsed from a slow-moving train. Sleep itself is one of the oddest things your nervous system does. Each night, whole networks of neurons shift their patterns of firing. Chemicals that kept you alert ebb away. Others rise, making you feel heavy, slow, pleasantly detached from urgency. There are cells deep in your brainstem whose job is to nudge the body towards sleep, dimming the internal lights one system at a time. Muscles relax, heart rate and breathing ease, and the balance of the city tilts from outward focus to inward repair. As you move towards sleep, some neurons fire in slow, synchronized waves, like a stadium of tiny lights, turning on and off together in deliberate rhythm. Others keep a quieter watch, maintaining just enough awareness to keep you breathing, to keep your heart beating, to let you roll over if you need to. You are never completely switched off. Even in your deepest rest, there is always a small lantern burning somewhere inside, ready to wake the city again if something truly important calls. Your nervous system also has its own filters for what matters at night. A sudden loud noise can ripple through the network and reach your awareness quickly, pulling you toward wakefulness. But the steady, predictable rhythm of a calm voice, the gentle flow of a relaxing science story to fall asleep to, is usually filed under safe. The brain gradually stops tagging each word as urgent and instead lets them wash past like waves on a dark shore, soothing in their repetition. If you notice your thoughts drifting away from these details, that is not a failure. It is a sign that your nervous system is doing exactly what it needs to do. You can let your mind wander between images. A neuron releasing tiny sacs of chemicals, a wave of activity rolling slowly across the cortex, glial cells cleaning up stray molecules like nighttime custodians. You can also let those images blur, as if a soft fog were rolling in over the city, covering the streets and lights with a calm, gray hush. Somewhere between full wakefulness and sleep, there is a thin, dreamy borderland. Here, your nervous system can begin to remix inputs, turning fragments of memory, expectation, and imagination into the loose beginnings of dreams. A word from this story might combine with a memory from years ago. A passing sensation in your arm might become, in that fluttering space, a distant echo of floating in water. You do not have to make sense of these transitions. You only have to be carried. In the next part, if your eyes are still open and your mind is still lightly curious, we will drift down into the churning, microscopic ecosystems of your gut, where bacteria cells and nerves weave together a surprisingly tender connection between digestion mood and the subtle feeling of being at home in your own body. There is a whole other universe folded quietly inside your abdomen, wrapped in loops of soft, muscular tubing. Your gut is not just a tube for food to pass through. It is a long, warm habitat lined with cells that listen, respond, and communicate. As you lie here, it continues its slow work, even if you have not thought about it once all day. Waves of gentle contraction move along the walls like invisible hands, pushing everything onward at a patient, unhurried pace. If you could shrink down and float through this space, you would see that the inner surface of your intestine is not smooth at all. It is covered in tiny folds, and each fold is covered in smaller ridges, and each ridge is covered in microscopic fingers called villi. This layering of structure turns a simple tube into a vast inner landscape. If you could unfold and flatten all of it, the area would be much larger than your skin on the outside, a hidden field where your body meets the outside world in a more intimate way than you might ever realize. Along this field lives a dense and shifting community of microorganisms, mostly bacteria, but also viruses and fungi, arranged in patterns that change with what you eat, how you live, and sometimes simply with time. To them, you are not a single person, but an environment. Temperature, moisture, nutrients, shelter. They form biofilms, thin organized layers clinging to the mucus that coats your intestine, like microscopic cities built along the banks of an endless river. These tiny residents help break down certain fibers you cannot digest, alone turning them into molecules that your own cells can use. Some of those molecules become fuel. Others act as quiet messengers, slipping into the bloodstream and traveling to distant organs, including your brain. In that way, what happens in these dim, microscopic corridors can gently influence how alert or calm you feel, how your immune system responds, even how your nervous system shapes its patterns over longer stretches of time. You do not have to control any of this. You do not have to know the names of the species living there, or remember which foods encourage which communities. Your body and its tiny guests negotiate on your behalf, balancing competition and cooperation in an ongoing subtle conversation. Tonight, you are allowed simply to imagine them as flickering constellations in a long, winding tunnel, each point of life doing its small part in the dark. Threaded through the walls of your gut is a network of nerves so extensive that some scientists call it a second brain. It is technically the enteric nervous system, but you can think of it as a quiet council that manages the local rhythm: when to push, when to pause, when to secrete, when to tighten. These neurons can act on their own coordinating muscle contractions and secretions without waiting for direct orders from your head. They send updates through long fibers to the brainstem and receive gentle adjustments in return, like letters traveling back and forth between distant offices. One of the main lines of communication is a long nerve called the vagus. It runs from your brainstem down through your chest into your abdomen, branching along the way like a wandering river. Signals travel both directions along this path. When you feel safe, when your breathing slows and your heart rate settles, the vagus nerve helps carry that message downward, telling the gut it can move into a calm, steady rhythm. When the gut senses irritation or imbalance, it can send its own signals upward, shifting your mood, your level of alertness, your sense that something is or is not quite right. Later, if you are still awake, we will drift into another tiny world under your skin, the way your cells constantly repair and replace themselves, quietly editing and rewriting the script of your body while you sleep. For now, it might be enough simply to know that there is a continuous, wordless dialogue between your inner organs and your mind, carried by signals you never hear, but always live inside. There are oddities here as well, in the chemistry of hunger and fullness. Cells in your gut release hormones in response to what passes by them. Some of these hormones tell your brain, in effect, there is food here, energy is coming, you can relax your vigilance. Others say, the stores are low, it might be good to seek more soon. These messages do not feel like words or sentences. They arrive as sensations, a soft sense of satisfaction after a good meal, a hollow restlessness when you have waited too long, a gentle heaviness that suggests it is time to lie down. At night, when you finally stop eating and give your digestive system a chance to rest, another layer of repair work can begin. The lining of your gut is renewed quickly. Cells are born, live their brief lives, and are replaced in a steady cycle. Even if today did not feel productive to you, even if you feel you did not accomplish enough, your inner tissues have been busy all along, patching, adjusting, tidying the border between you and everything you have taken in. If you notice any tension in your abdomen now, you do not have to force it to release. You can simply breathe and let it be. With each exhale, the muscles of your belly might soften a little, or they might not. Either way, the quiet work inside continues. You can imagine a slow wave moving along your intestines, guided by that local second brain carrying the remains of the day onward, while you gradually let go of the need to monitor anything at all. Some people like to think of this whole gut-brain conversation as a kind of mood weather system. Shifts in the microbial communities and hormones and nerve signals can create subtle currents that affect how cloudy or bright your inner sky feels. But just as with weather, you are not personally responsible for every gust and change. Your job tonight is not to fix the climate inside you. It is simply to notice that you are held within a living system that is always trying in its own quiet way to move back toward balance. If your thoughts begin to wander now, that is all right. You might picture the villi in your gut, like fields of waving grass stirred by invisible breezes. You might imagine the bacteria as small lanterns along a path, or as helpful workers tidying up after a long day. Or you might let all of those images fade into a soft blur, keeping only the feeling that deep inside, countless small processes are taking care of you while you rest. In the next part, if your eyes are still open and your curiosity still gently flickering, we will turn toward the tiny engines inside your cells, the little powerhouses and moving machines that keep your tissues alive step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, even as you drift further toward sleep. Inside every one of your cells, tiny engines are turning, stepping, and humming along even now while you lie still in the dark. From the outside, your body looks quiet, a shape under blankets, breathing in a slow, almost tidal rhythm. But on the inside, there is motion everywhere, like a city seen from far above at night, where each little point of light hints at hidden activity. If you could shrink down, again, past tissues and fibers through membranes and into the watery interior of a cell, you would find yourself in a place without hard walls or straight lines. It is more like a crowded, gentle jelly, full of threads, droplets, and floating structures. Suspended in this soft interior are organelles, the tiny specialized compartments that each play a particular role. Among them, scattered like glowing embers in dim light, are the mitochondria, the powerhouses that quietly keep everything running. A mitochondrion is not just a featureless blob. It has an outer membrane smooth and enclosing, and an inner membrane folded into many ridges like a long ribbon crumpled and tucked back and forth. These folds give it more surface area, more room to do its work. Along that inner surface sit molecular machines that pass electrons from one to another in a carefully arranged chain, using the energy to pump protons across the membrane. It is as if they are slowly winding up a tiny battery, one gentle step at a time. On the other side of the membrane, another molecular machine waits ATP synthase, a structure so strange that the first images of it looked almost like science fiction. Part of it forms a channel through the membrane. Part of it sticks out like a small stalk and spinning head. As protons flow back through the channel, driven by the gradient the cell has created, they cause the stalk to rotate, turning several times a second. Each turn brings together different parts of the molecule in just the right way to bind and release ATP, the small, energy-rich molecule that powers countless processes in your cells. You do not feel this rotation. You do not hear the soft internal grinding of these molecular turbines, yet your entire life depends on them. Your body makes and uses roughly its own weight in ATP every day. The same molecules being used, broken, and remade again and again in a continuous cycle. Even as you listen, as your eyelids grow heavier, these tiny rotary engines spin on patiently resetting the springs that will be used for everything from muscle movement to memory formation. Not far away, the cell's interior is threaded with long, flexible filaments that form a dynamic scaffold, the cytoskeleton. These filaments help give the cell its shape and provide tracks along which other molecular machines can walk. Imagine a network of narrow paths laid across a soft, shifting field. Along these paths, cargo is moved vesicles filled with chemicals, fragments of membrane, bits of equipment that need to be in the right place at the right time. The movers are proteins with names like kinesin and dynein. Each has two small feet that bind to the filament and a tail that holds the cargo. They move in a curious hand-over-hand pattern, one foot letting go and swinging past the other to find the next attachment site. With each step, they use the energy of ATP to change shape, converting chemical fuel into forward motion. Under an electron microscope, the scene would look almost whimsical. Tiny, determined shapes striding along invisible highways, tugging bubble-like packages behind them. Later, if you are still awake, we will drift toward the quiet vault where your genetic material is stored and listen to how cells read and copy the instructions that keep all of this motion coordinated. For now, it might be enough just to picture these small porters going about their work step by step, without complaint, in every cell of your body all the time. Even the cell's membrane is alive with subtle work. It is not a simple barrier, but a fluid layer of lipids and proteins constantly shifting, bending, and being rebuilt. Channels open and close, letting ions slip through at carefully chosen moments. Receptors reach outward, tasting the surrounding fluid for signals from hormones, immune cells, or neighboring tissues. When a signal is received, the receptor changes its shape and sets off a cascade of events inside, much like a row of dominoes falling, except that here, the result is not collapse, but adaptation. Sometimes, the cell chooses to bring something inside wholesale. A patch of membrane wraps around a particle, or a cluster of molecules gradually curving inward until it pinches off to form a vesicle, a tiny bubble, carrying its contents inward. Elsewhere, vesicles fuse back with the outer membrane, releasing their own packages into the world beyond the cell. It is a constant give and take, a conversation conducted in folds and merges rather than words. You might notice that as you imagine these scenes, your mind has less space to replay the day's worries. The to-do list, the half-finished emails, the awkward conversation from earlier may still exist, but they can stand a little farther away for now. Inside your cells, none of those stories matter. Mitochondria do not know whether you were productive today. Kinesin molecules are not concerned with your social fears. They only know how to take the next step, how to turn the next rotation, how to maintain the quiet miracle of being alive. As you lie here, your body is already leaning toward repair mode, subtle shifts in hormones and temperature signal that it is night, that it is safe enough to slow down. Inside each cell, certain genes are more active now, making proteins that help fix small breaks in DNA, recycle worn-out components, and prepare for another day of work. It is like a night crew, arriving after hours dusting shelves, tightening loose bolts, and oiling hinges while the main floor sits in darkness. If your thoughts begin to drift, you can let them. You might imagine yourself walking through a darkened factory full of tiny, softly glowing machines, each one performing a simple, repetitive task. You do not need to understand every machine to feel comforted by their persistence. You can know, in a gentle way, that your body is full of such persistence, full of motion that does not depend on your willpower or your mood. In the next part, if your eyes are still open and your curiosity still flickers softly, we will visit that inner library of instructions, the DNA curled up inside your cells, and listen to how it is read, repaired, and quietly updated while you sleep. Deep in the center of many of your cells, there is a quiet library that never closes. From the outside, the cell looks like a soft, busy workshop. Inside, near the middle, sits the nucleus wrapped in a double membrane speckled with tiny gates. Through those gates, messages flow in and out all the time. But the main books, the long coiled strands of DNA, remain tucked safely within like shelves of handwritten volumes that must be protected from rain and dust. If you could float inside this nucleus, you would not see tidy ladders of DNA hanging in the air. You would see threads, long flexible strands of genetic material wrap around small protein cores, again and again, forming loops, coils, and loops of coils. These structures fold in on themselves, packing 2 meters of DNA into a space far smaller than the width of a human hair. It is an impossible-sounding compression, but your cells manage it calmly, as if stuffing an entire library into a single suitcase every day. The oddity here is that not all of this DNA is read with equal enthusiasm. Some regions are packed tightly, like books sealed with ribbon, rarely opened. Others are loosened pages, already slightly spread, ready to be copied. Chemical tags on the DNA and its wrapping proteins serve as subtle bookmarks. Add a small group here to mark a chapter. As quiet, remove one there to mark a chapter as to be read tonight. This is part of what people call epigenetic regulation, but you can think of it as your cells gently adjusting which parts of the library they visit, depending on what is needed. To turn a stretch of DNA into action, a cell first makes a copy in a different form. Tiny machines slide along the exposed strand, reading the sequence of bases A, T, C, G, like a finger tracing lines of text in dim light. As they move, they build an RNA molecule, a messenger copy that carries the instructions outward. When the copy is finished, it detaches and makes its way through one of the nuclear gates into the busy cytoplasm, where other machines are waiting to turn its language into protein. Those protein-making machines, ribosomes, sit on strands of RNA like patient readers. They pull the message through at a steady pace, 3 bases at a time. Each triplet corresponds to 1 amino acid, a small building block. As the ribosome moves, it calls in amino acids one by one, linking them together into a chain that will fold into a functioning protein. It is like listening to a recipe and adding ingredients in the right order. Except that here, the cook is also the kitchen, and the ingredients were partly prepared by the same library they are now rebuilding. All of this happens whether you are thinking about it or not. While you lie here, maybe a little worried about tomorrow, your cells are quietly reading, copying, and building. Some proteins being made tonight will help strengthen synapses in your brain, preserving traces of things you learned earlier. Others will patch small tears in muscle fibers or reinforce membranes that have been stressed by the day's movements. You can rest while your library staff works the night shift. DNA itself is not completely fixed. Every day, small mistakes happen. Radiation from the environment nicks a strand. A reactive molecule bumps into a base and changes it. When a cell copies its DNA before dividing it, may slip and insert the wrong letter. But everywhere along the helix, repair crews are on patrol. Enzymes slide along the DNA, feeling for distortions, checking whether each pair of bases fits correctly. When they find a mistake, they cut out the damaged segment and use the intact strand as a template to build the correct sequence again. Later, if you are still awake, we will visit the ways your body remembers past encounters through your immune system, storing tiny molecular memories of viruses and bacteria you have met, like adding new volumes to a living archive. For now, you might simply notice how comforting it can be to know that even at this scale, you are not left alone with your errors. Your cells do not scold the DNA for being imperfect. They just repair what they can and carry on. Over the years, small changes accumulate. A base here or there might be altered and slip past the repair systems. Most of these changes do nothing dramatic. They are like tiny typos in a recipe that still produces the same dish. A few may subtly shift how a protein behaves or how likely a cell is to respond to a signal. Inside your body, countless such variations create a slowly changing pattern, a quiet record of time written in the language of molecules rather than words. At night, when you finally rest, the pace of damage slows. You are not standing under bright sunlight, not rushing through crowded places, not straining muscles to their limits. The repair crews are still at work, but the inflow of new problems is gentler. It is as if the library has closed its doors to visitors for a while, giving the staff space to put books back on shelves, straighten piles of paper, and update the catalog. You may feel at times that you are stuck, that you are the same person repeating the same habits and mistakes. Yet under your skin, your cells are constantly turning over their contents, building, breaking down, replacing. Proteins are used and discarded. Membranes are recycled. Entire cells in some tissues live for only days before being replaced. You are more dynamic than you feel. The library does not stay frozen. It is read, annotated, and gently revised even while you sleep. If your thoughts drift now to things you wish you could rewrite about your own life, you can let that feeling coexist with this softer truth. Parts of you are already being rewritten, not in grand cinematic leaps, but in countless tiny adjustments. A gene turned slightly up or down, a repair made here rather than there, a pattern of expression that shifts slowly in response to how you live, what you eat, how often you rest like this. You are not a static script. You are an ongoing addition. As you breathe, you might imagine the DNA in your cells as long looping sentences curled around spools resting and waiting. Most of the time, you will never know which passages were opened tonight, which were copied, which were gently edited. You do not have to keep track. You can simply allow the idea of this library to cradle you shelves upon shelves of instructions, guarded and tended by a quiet, tireless staff. In the next part, if your eyes are still open and your curiosity is still a soft glow in the dark, we will turn back outward to the immune, tiny worlds under your skin, where specialized cells store memories of past threats and practice the art of recognizing you as you, so they can tell the difference between what should be welcomed and what should be gently pushed away. Under your skin, there is a quiet border patrol moving through tissues you never see. It does not wear uniforms. It does not march in lines, but it is always there, drifting through blood and lymph, pausing in soft checkpoints tucked into your neck, your armpits, your abdomen. This is your immune system's tiny world, a shifting community of cells that spend their lives learning the difference between you and everything else. If you could hover beside one of these cells, you might be surprised by how ordinary it looks at first. Many are small, round, and smooth, with only faint hints of inner structure. But on their surfaces, there are proteins arranged like an elaborate collection of locks. Every time they encounter something new, a fragment of a virus, a piece of bacterial wall, a misfolded protein, they taste it with these locks, checking whether the shape fits into a pattern they have learned to distrust. Some immune cells, like macrophages, behave almost like gentle janitors. They move slowly through tissues, extending soft arms of membrane to envelop debris, dead cells, or invaders. Inside, they break these swallowed pieces down, presenting small fragments on their surface like tiny warning flags. Other cells pass by, reading the flags and deciding what to do, sound the alarm call in reinforcements, or simply nod and move on. There is a strange tenderness in this constant vigilance. To work well, the immune system has to know you intimately. During development, young immune cells are tested against your own tissues. Those that react too strongly are removed, leaving behind a population that is primed to protect without attacking its host. It is not perfect, but in most moments of your life, this delicate balance holds. You are defended without being destroyed. In the soft, pale nodules of your lymph nodes, meetings take place that you will never attend. When something unfamiliar is detected, cells gather there to compare notes. Some of them, B cells, can rearrange segments of their own DNA to generate new receptors, new possible keys to fit the strange shapes of invading molecules. It is a quiet explosion of diversity happening inside a place so small you could pinch it between two fingers. When a B cell finds a match, when its receptor binds tightly to a fragment of something foreign, it can begin to divide, producing many copies of itself. Some of these daughters become factories churning out antibodies that flow through your blood and stick to the invader wherever it appears, marking it for removal. Others become memory cells, long-lived sentinels that linger for years, sometimes decades, ready to respond quickly if the same threat ever returns. You carry these molecular memories like invisible scars and medals both. A childhood illness, a vaccination, an infection, you barely noticed. Each can leave behind memory cells that patrol quietly, their mere presence changing how your body will respond in the future. You may forget the fever, the tired days on the couch, but your immune system remembers in its own language of shape and reactivity. Later, if you are still awake, we will turn toward another kind of tiny memory under your skin. The way your sensory systems store traces of touch and temperature, letting familiar sensations feel safe, even comforting in the dark. For now, you can rest in the idea that parts of you have learned from every encounter you have survived and have kept those lessons without needing your conscious permission. Even when you sleep, a low level of immune patrol continues. Cells creep along vessel walls, slip in and out of tissues, and pause at checkpoints to sample the local environment. Some signals rise at night, certain hormones and cytokines increasing when you finally rest, as if your body is using the quieter hours to run deeper diagnostics to repair and recalibrate after the day's exposures. This is one reason why fevers often spike at night, and why rest can feel strangely like being both vulnerable and protected at the same time. It is possible that as you lie here, you feel a little ache somewhere, a stiff shoulder, a sore throat, a vague heaviness in your limbs. You do not have to fight these sensations. Friendly inflammation in small doses is one of the ways the immune system calls extra help to a site. Blood vessels widen. More cells arrive. Signals are exchanged. Then, if all goes well, the response gradually fades, and the tissue returns toward its usual state. You are allowed to let the process unfold without narrating it, without turning it into a story of failure. Your immune cells do not judge you for lying awake with your phone. They do not care whether you answered every message today or met every expectation. Their world is simpler and more immediate. This molecule is self. This is not. This cell is healthy. This one is quietly instructed to die and make room for new growth. They are constantly pruning and rebalancing, trimming back what is damaged, allowing what is functional to remain. Sometimes they make mistakes. They may overlook a dangerous cell that begins to grow too freely, or they may misidentify harmless material as a threat. Yet even these mistakes are usually met, not with despair, but with further adaptation. New antibodies may be generated. Helper cells may shift their behavior. Entire networks of interaction adjust, nudging the system back toward stability. Inside you, resilience is not a slogan. It is an ongoing molecular negotiation. If your mind has been busy replaying conflicts or worrying about how you appeared to others, you might take a small comfort in knowing that on this inner level, the lines are clearer. Your immune system does not care about your social performance. It cares about maintaining a boundary between you and everything else, keeping what supports you inside and what could harm you outside as much as possible. You are worth protecting simply because you are you. As your breathing slows, you can imagine these immune cells as soft glowing shapes drifting through a dim forest of tissues. Here and there, they pause to examine a fallen leaf, a broken branch, a patch of unusual light. When they find something truly dangerous, they work together in silence with no need for praise. When they do not, they simply move on, content to wander. In the next part, if your eyes are still open and your curiosity still whispers for one more glimpse behind the scenes, we will shift our attention to the sensory tiny worlds under your skin. The receptors that let you feel warmth and weight. The tiny hairs and pressure sensors that tell your brain you are grounded, held and safe in the dark. Beneath every place where your body meets the bed, tiny sensors are quietly at work. They do not look like buttons or switches, but like endings of nerves that spread into branching tips, each one tuned to a particular kind of touch. Right now, as the mattress presses back against your shoulder, your hip, your heels, these endings are gently deformed. Their membranes stretched just enough to open channels that let ions slip inside. A signal begins there, small and local, saying simply, "There is contact here." Some of these receptors respond best to steady pressure, the kind you feel from the weight of the blanket or the curve of the pillow under your head. Others prefer change, a light stroke, a shift in position, the slide of fabric across skin. There are receptors that notice vibration tuned to detect the faint tremble of a phone on a nightstand or the hum of distant traffic. Together they form a chorus of impressions, but your brain does not play every note at equal volume. It chooses quietly which signals to amplify and which to let fade into background. On the soles of your feet and the palms of your hands, these receptors are especially dense. They help you navigate the world when you are standing, walking, reaching, grasping. Tonight, they mostly report the absence of effort. The muscles in your feet are not holding you up. Your hands are free from keyboards, steering wheels, bags, and tools. For once, the primary message moving up from those regions is a soft one: no urgent task, no sharp pain, only the neutral, gentle pressure of rest. Temperature-sensitive receptors add another layer to this tapestry of sensation. Some endings in your skin are more active when the surrounding tissue cools. Others wake up when it warms. As you settle into bed, the parts of you touching the mattress gradually share their heat with it, while exposed skin feels the air's subtle movements. This creates small gradients, tiny maps of warm and cool that your nervous system quietly monitors. If a patch grows too cold or too hot, you might roll over, pull the blanket closer, or extend a foot into the air without fully waking, guided by these almost subconscious readings. Later, if you are still awake, we will visit the most intimate tiny world under your skin, the beating pattern of your heart as it adapts to rest, and the way your breathing and circulation dance together in the dark. For now, you can simply notice one or two sensations without needing to judge them. The weight of your head, the rise and fall of your chest, the feeling of fabric against your arms. They are not problems to solve. They are anchors, reminders that your body is here, supported and safe enough to be still. Inside joints and muscles. Other receptors keep quiet, watch over position and tension. These proprioceptors, tucked into tendons and muscle fibers, tell your brain where your limbs are without you having to look. Even with your eyes closed, you can sense whether your knees are bent or straight, whether one hand rests on your abdomen or beside you on the sheets. This constant flow of information allows your body to make small adjustments, relaxing a shoulder, easing a twist in your lower back without you needing to plan each move. When you are anxious or rushed, you may barely notice these signals, except when they cross a threshold into discomfort or pain. Tonight, you are allowed to feel them in a gentler way. The slight heaviness of relaxed muscles, the spreading warmth where blood flows more freely as tension eases, the subtle sense that the boundary between you and the bed is becoming less sharp, as if the mattress were slowly remembering the shape of your body and holding it with increasing familiarity. Sound is part of this sensory world too. The tone of this voice, the distance of ambient noises, the occasional creak or hum in your environment, all of it is filtered and classified by tiny hair cells deep within your inner ears. Sound waves cause fluid in the cochlea to move, bending those hairs in patterns that convert vibration into electrical signals. Your brain then decides what these signals mean. A car passing outside a neighbor's footsteps, or just the steady, non-threatening rhythm of nighttime life. Over time, repeated experiences train your sensory systems to decide what is safe to ignore. The refrigerator's low buzz, the ticking of a clock, the distant rumble of traffic. All of these can fade into a kind of acoustic wallpaper once your brain recognizes them as non-dangerous. A calm, steady voice, talking about scientific oddities for deep sleep, can join that wallpaper too. At first, you may listen closely, curious about each detail. Then gradually, the words can blur, becoming something your mind can lean against rather than actively analyze. Your eyes, even when closed, still participate in this quiet conversation. Light passes through your eyelids, allowing special cells at the back of your eyes to sense how bright or dark the world is. These cells do not care about shapes or colors. They send information about overall light levels to brain regions that help set your internal clock. When evening comes and light fades, signals shift in a way that tells your body it is time to produce more melatonin to begin the slow process of winding down. If you have spent much of your day staring at bright screens, your eyes and brain have had to work harder to distinguish signal from noise, important from unimportant. In this moment, with the room dim and your gaze soft or completely closed, those systems can loosen their grip. The tiny muscles that adjust the lens of your eye can rest. The circuits that constantly scan for new visual information can relax their vigilance, letting other senses take the lead. You might notice that your mind is still capable of summoning images even in the dark. Perhaps you see the outline of your room, or vague shifting colors behind your eyelids, or the scenes described earlier. Mitochondria, turning immune cells, drifting tiny machines, walking along cellular tracks. These internal visuals are also a form of sensation, built from memories and imagination, rather than direct input. Your brain treats them gently, allowing them to appear and dissolve without demanding that they correspond to anything outside. As your attention moves through these layers of sensation, touch, temperature, position, sound, inner imagery, you may find that no single one holds your focus for long. That is all right. The goal is not to stay perfectly aware, but to allow awareness to soften, to become wide and fuzzy at the edges. You can think of your senses as lanterns being slowly turned down one notch at a time until the room is not completely dark, but illuminated only by the faintest, warmest glow. In the next part, if your eyes are still open and your curiosity remains a soft, patient ember, we will return to the rhythm of your heart and lungs, exploring how these tiny worlds coordinate with the rest, creating a slow, living lullaby inside your chest while you drift closer to sleep. Deep in the center of your chest, a soft drum is playing for you. You may feel it as a gentle thump against the mattress, or only as a vague, steady presence, but every beat is a small, coordinated miracle. Chambers squeeze, valves open and close. Waves of pressure travel into vessels that branch and narrow and branch again. With each cycle, blood leaves your heart darker and returns lighter, exchanging carbon dioxide for oxygen in a silent, continuous loop. Just above that drum, your lungs rise and fall like slow bellows. Air slips in through your nose or mouth, curves down your throat, and divides again and again into smaller tubes. At the end of each branch, there are alveoli, tiny sacs with walls so thin they are almost not there at all. These sacs cluster like grapes around the smallest airways, millions upon millions of them, providing a surface where air and blood can finally meet. Inside those delicate walls, another oddity unfolds. Blood, in the surrounding capillaries, arrives rich in carbon dioxide, the quiet exhaust of your cells. Air in the alveoli, newly arrived with each breath, carries a higher concentration of oxygen. Without any pushing or pulling from you, oxygen slips into the blood, and carbon dioxide slips out, each moving from where it is more abundant to where it is less. It is diffusion, the same simple rule that guided tiny molecules in your gut and your cells, now playing out at a scale large enough to sustain your entire body. You might think of each breath as a slow wave washing through a shore of microscopic harbors. Inhale, and fresh air rolls into the sacs, brushing gently against the film of moisture that lines their walls. Exhale, and the used air drifts back out, taking with it the carbon dioxide your body no longer needs. You do not have to supervise this exchange. Even if your mind wanders into old memories or tomorrow's plans, your lungs and blood keep trading gases with faithful regularity. Your heart listens to your breathing more closely than you might realize. When you inhale, pressure shifts inside your chest very slightly. More blood returns to the right side of the heart, and your heart rate often speeds up just a little. When you exhale, that flow eases and your heart rate settles back down. This pattern, called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, is not a problem to fix. It is a sign that your heart and lungs are in conversation, adjusting to one another like partners in a slow dance. Later, if you are still awake, we will drift into the tiny worlds of sleep itself, where certain neurons quiet down while others fire in bursts, and waves of activity sweep across your brain like passing weather. For now, you can rest in the feeling that your chest is an engine of rhythm, with heartbeats and breaths layering on top of one another to form a private lullaby only you can fully feel. If you place a hand lightly on your chest or abdomen, you might notice the layered motion, the small bump of each heartbeat, the slower swell and fall of each breath. Beneath your palm, red blood cells are flowing through capillaries in your skin. Deeper in nerves carry signals immune cells patrol, and cells turn food and oxygen into tiny packets of usable energy. All these tiny worlds under your skin move in step with the rhythm set by heart and lungs, like dancers following a drum and a tide at the same time. Every time you inhale, you are taking part in a quiet exchange with the world outside you. The air you draw in has been exhaled by countless other beings, mixed and remixed by winds and currents. Some of the oxygen in it was made long ago in the hearts of stars that lived and died before Earth even formed. It joined the atmosphere through the labor of plants and algae, then waited scattered and invisible until this moment when your lungs invited it in. And then quietly you change that air. You take what you need and offer back something else, carbon dioxide, which your cells created in their own small fires. Plants and algae may one day use that again, weaving it into new sugars and leaves. In this way, your breathing is not separate from the world. It is one thread in a much larger cycle. Tonight, that thread is very small, just enough to keep you here, but it ties you to oceans, forests, and distant fields you might never see. As you rest, the muscles that help you breathe do not need to work very hard. The diaphragm, a dome-shaped sheet of muscle beneath your lungs, moves down when you inhale and up when you exhale, like a slow, steady piston, softened by tissue and time. Intercostal muscles between your ribs assist expanding and relaxing the cage around your lungs. When you are calm, this movement becomes almost automatic, a background motion that continues even when most of your brain has let go of the day. If your thoughts are still busy, you do not need to force them to stop. Instead, you might let them float on top of your breathing. Notice how each inhale begins on its own and each exhale eventually finishes. You can gently allow the exhale to lengthen a little if it feels natural, letting your body linger in that softer releasing phase. Nerves that sense this pattern send signals back to the brainstem, which in turn adjusts heart rate and vessel tone, reinforcing the message that it is safe to relax. In the space between one breath and the next, many things happen that you will never notice. Tiny pressure sensors in your blood vessels send signals about how stretched their walls are. Chemoreceptors in your arteries sample oxygen and carbon dioxide levels, nudging your breathing pattern slightly if the balance shifts. The brainstem integrates all these inputs and chooses a response, usually keeping everything so smooth that you might go hours without once thinking about your lungs. You are surrounded by alarms and notifications in daily life, sounds that demand attention. Inside your body, the opposite pattern dominates. Most signals are handled quietly locally without escalation. Only rarely does your body send you a sensation urgent enough to force your awareness, a sudden need to cough, a sharp pain, a gasp after you hold your breath for too long. The rest of the time, it lets you live at the surface while it manages the depths. If you feel a hint of sleepiness, now that is your nervous system responding to all these converging cues. Lower light, slower. Breath, steady rhythm. A voice that keeps promising. You do not need to remember any of this. You could drift off in the middle of a sentence, and your heart would keep beating. Your lungs would keep trading gases. Your cells would keep turning oxygen into energy. You are allowed to let go without having to wind the system down yourself. In the next part, if your eyes are still open and your curiosity is still a small, steady flame, we will step over the threshold into the tiny worlds of sleep in your brain, the waves and sparks, the slow cleansing, and the strange half-stories that form the earliest edge of dreams. Somewhere behind your forehead, the city of your brain is dimming its lights for the night. Not all at once, and not everywhere at the same time, but in spreading patches and gentle waves. Neurons that spent the day firing rapidly in response to sight, sounds, and decisions now begin to slip into slower, more coordinated rhythms, like a crowd that has stopped talking and started humming the same soft tune together. As you drift towards sleep, special clusters of cells deep in the brainstem adjust the balance of chemicals in your cerebrospinal fluid and in the spaces between neurons. Substances that kept you alert ebb away. Others that encourage drowsiness rise. The threshold for noticing small changes in the outside world gradually increases. A noise that might have startled you hours ago now barely reaches the first levels of processing before being gently set aside as unimportant. In the outer layers of the brain, the cortex patterns of activity change their texture. During wakefulness, the electrical signals recorded here tend to look busy and irregular, like a restless, flickering landscape. As sleep arrives, these patterns give way to slower, larger waves. In deep sleep, vast networks of neurons can fire in synchrony and then fall silent together, creating oscillations that sweep across the cortex again and again, like slow tides moving over a dark shore. Between these slow waves, other faster bursts appear for brief moments. In lighter stages of sleep, especially, the brain produces spindles, short runs of higher frequency activity that look like little whirls on an otherwise calm sea. Scientists think these spindles may help protect sleep from being broken by outside stimuli and may play a role in consolidating memories. Whatever their exact purpose they are, another example of your brain doing intricate, coordinated work while you feel yourself letting go. You do not have to keep track of these stages. You do not need to know whether you are in light sleep, deep sleep, or on the edge of dreaming. Your brain cycles through them on a roughly 90-minute loop all night, adjusting based on many variables. How long you have been awake, how active you were, whether you are under stress or at ease. Even if tonight is not perfect, even if your sleep is shorter than you wish, the system will still try its best to give you what restoration it can. Deep inside, another quiet oddity unfolds. During certain phases of sleep, the spaces between cells in your brain seem to widen slightly, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely through the tissue. This fluid can wash away some of the metabolic byproducts that build up during a long day of activity. It is sometimes called the glymphatic system, a nighttime cleaning crew that becomes more active while you are off duty. You may wake tomorrow with no conscious memory of this hidden rinse cycle, only a vague sense that your mind feels a little clearer. Later, if you are somehow still awake, we will wander into the strange edges of dreams themselves, the half-formed narratives, the impossible scenes, and the way your brain can temporarily relax its rules while still keeping you safely in bed. For now, simply knowing that your brain has its own washing and sorting routines may be enough. You can imagine it tidying stacks of experience, filing some away, discarding others, and leaving a little more space for tomorrow. Even as parts of your brain quiet down, others remain on watch. Regions that monitor the state of your body, control breathing and heart rate, and regulate basic reflexes continue to work through every stage of sleep. A sudden change in temperature, a loud noise, or a sensation of falling can still trigger responses, rousing you if necessary. Your brain never abandons you completely. It just shifts from being a busy manager to a calmer guardian stepping back when things are safe. In the borderland between wakefulness and sleep, you might notice brief, vivid flashes. A face you have never seen. A landscape that does not exist. A falling sensation that startles your muscles into a small jerk. These hypnagogic moments are tiny samples of what happens when the brain begins to loosen the strict link between outside input and inner imagery. Networks that usually respond to the world can start responding to the echoes of their own activity, creating snippets of experience with no external trigger. You might hear your name softly, in a voice that no one spoke, or see a pattern of light behind your eyelids that was not caused by anything in the room. These are not signs that something is wrong. They are natural products of a brain in transition, momentarily mixing its channels as it changes modes. If they come, you can let them pass like small, strange clouds sliding across a dark sky. Interesting, but not threatening. As the night goes on, periods of deep, slow-wave sleep tend to be more common earlier, while longer stretches of vivid dreaming associated with rapid eye movement sleep become more frequent later. You may already be drifting into those cycles as you listen. In them, your eyes move beneath closed lids, following scenes only you can see. Muscles in your limbs are often temporarily inhibited, preventing most of your dream movements from turning into physical ones. You get to explore wild variations of reality while your body stays safely heavy and still. From the outside, you might look completely peaceful. On the inside, whole networks of neurons are rehearsing, recombining, and reimagining. Fragments of your day are stitched into older memories or pulled apart and rearranged into symbolic scenes. Some emotional circuits can replay difficult events in a context where immediate action is impossible, perhaps helping the brain gradually soften their impact. Other circuits may simply enjoy the chance to run with fewer constraints, like a child drawing on scrap paper with no assignment. You are not required to remember any of this in the morning. Most dreams vanish quickly upon waking, like mist in sunlight. The ones that remain often feel disjointed or absurd. Yet even when you forget them, the night's work may still leave traces, a slightly different feeling about a problem, a new idea that surfaces later, or just the quiet relief that comes from having had a protected time where you did not need to make sense of everything. In the next part, if your eyes are somehow still open and your curiosity still glows like a tiny ember, we will zoom back out across all these tiny worlds under your skin and look at the strange, gentle oddity of you as a whole. A single person holding countless microscopic cities together, resting in the dark part of a wider, silent tribe of minds that also find comfort in these soft, weird stories at night. From far enough away, you could be mistaken for stillness. A quiet shape in a dark room. A rise and fall of blankets, lit only by the faint glow of a screen or a streetlight slipping through the curtains. But from close enough in, you are an entire stack of universes nested one inside another. All of them, moving all of them, telling their own tiny stories while you rest. We have wandered tonight through some of those inner landscapes, the forests of your skin, the rivers of your blood, the electrical gardens of your nerves, the hidden tunnels of your gut, the factories inside your cells, the patient library of your DNA, the vigilant patrols of your immune system, the sensory lanterns at your edges. the drum and bellows of your heart and lungs, and the slow, tidal waves of your sleeping brain. Each of these worlds has its own rules, its own oddities, its own quiet miracles that repeat themselves whether you are watching or not. There is something gently strange about this, a whole collection of scientific oddities for deep sleep all happening inside you. If you saw them in a documentary, you might lean forward fascinated. Tiny spinning turbines making energy, molecular porters walking along protein rails, cells holding up fragments of invaders like flags, waves of activity washing through gray tissue like weather. Tonight, you do not have to lean forward. You can lean back or not move at all and let the documentary play on the inside. You might have spent years feeling like your mind was too much, too loud, too active, too weird. Nights when you lie awake, chasing thoughts, replaying old conversations, worrying about problems that do not have clear answers, can make you feel broken or defective. But the same wiring that keeps you up is also what lets you love these odd corners of reality. You are drawn to a sleepy science story for adults who love strange facts because somewhere in you there is relief in seeing that the world itself is weirder than your thoughts. When you listen to these tiny worlds under your skin, you are not just collecting trivia. You are hearing a softer message beneath the facts. It is okay to be complicated. It is okay to have many layers. It is okay to be made of processes you do not fully understand. Your body does not demand that you master every mechanism before it lets you sleep. It only asks that you give it enough time and enough gentleness to do its work. Scattered across the planet, there are others like you right now. Phones softly glowing, headphones and eyes half closed. They too have overfull minds and tired bodies. They too are looking for relaxing weird facts for nighttime minds, for soft, slow science narration to help them fall asleep. You will never meet most of them, and yet you share this small ritual, pressing play on a calm, strange voice that talks about hidden universes while the rest of the world goes quiet. You are part of that quiet tribe, even if you feel like an outsider in many other places. In the daylight, you may not always say what you are really thinking. You may hide your questions, your odd fascinations, your love of improbable details just to move smoothly through work and conversation. But here in this little corner of the universe, your strangeness is not a problem. It is the reason you are here. The same mind that overthinks is the mind that can find comfort in imagining mitochondria spinning, or synapses whispering through the night. Later, if you are somehow still awake, we will bring all of this together. One more time, letting these images soften into a single quiet sense that you are allowed to rest inside your own complexity. But you do not have to stay awake for that. You are welcome to slip away between any two sentences, trusting that the tiny cities under your skin will keep going without you. For now, you might gently notice how far you have already come from the beginning of this night. The sharp edges of the day have likely blurred. The problems that felt huge a few hours ago may still be there, but they stand farther back behind a curtain of smaller, slower thoughts. In their place, there is the simple rhythm of breath, the weight of your body on the bed, and these soft, improbable stories of what you are made of. If guilt tries to creep in, guilt about being awake so late, about wasting time on a video, about not sleeping as early or as deeply as you think you should, you can let it be just another signal, like a little spike in a noisy graph. Your body does not need your guilt to function. Your cells do not benefit from self-criticism. The tiny worlds under your skin are much more interested in whether you are giving them even a small chance to repair and reset. Lying here listening, breathing, drifting, you are already offering them that. You do not have to do sleep perfectly for it to help you. Even half-dreaming, half-listening states can give your nervous system a break from constant demands. The voice in your ears becomes a soft, predictable pattern, something your brain can stop evaluating and instead ride like a current. If you find that you have missed whole paragraphs, that you return to awareness and realize you do not know exactly what was just said, that is not a failure. That is the story doing what it is meant to do. As this part comes to an end, it may feel as if the night has widened around you. Inside that space, you are a single person, made of countless tiny oddities, all cooperating just enough to give you this moment, a chance to lie here, to be held by gravity and fabric and quiet, and to let your mind loosen its grip on the day. You do not have to earn this moment by being productive or impressive. Existing is enough. In the next and final part, if your eyes are still open and your curiosity is still flickering softly, we will land this journey as gently as we can, wrapping all these strange, tiny worlds under your skin in one last sleepy layer of reassurance before you drift wherever your dreams want to take you. If you are still here, eyes half open or already heavy, you have carried yourself a long way tonight. From the outside, it may look like you have done nothing at all but lie down and listen. But inside, tiny worlds have been busy electrical gardens dimming their lights, microscopic rivers flowing on engines and porters and caretakers carrying out their quiet instructions without ever asking you to be perfect. You have listened to these scientific oddities for deep sleep, not as a student cramming for an exam, but as someone letting the strangeness of your own biology wash over you, like a tide. At first, perhaps you followed the details closely. You pictured the forests of your skin, the soft rivers of blood, the flickering networks of neurons. And then maybe those images began to blur at the edges, dissolving into something softer. Not diagrams, but feelings of being supported, held and constantly repaired from within. It is an odd fact in itself that you can fall asleep while learning. Somewhere in you, there is a part that still loves weird science facts, told in a calm, bedtime voice, even as the rest of you longs for deep rest. You have given both sides a place to coexist tonight. Curiosity is allowed to flicker, while your body is allowed to sink. There is no conflict between them here. You can be a person who wants to understand tiny worlds under your skin, and also a person who badly needs to stop trying so hard. If thoughts about tomorrow try to push their way back in, you can let them appear for a moment and then place them gently outside the door of this room in your mind. They will still be there later. The cells and systems that must be ready for tomorrow are already preparing, taking in oxygen, mending DNA, adjusting hormones, smoothing out the wear and tear of the day. Your job is not to stand over them with a clipboard. Your job is simply to stay here long enough for their work to matter. You may have carried quiet worries about your body for a long time, that it is too tired, too fragile, too slow to recover. Yet tonight, you have visited some of the machinery that has not stopped, not even once. Hearts and lungs adapting to every demand, immune cells patrolling, gut communities fermenting and feeding, mitochondria spinning out packets of energy in the dark. Even when you have felt stuck in your life inside you, there has always been motion, always been change. The oddity of you as a whole might be the strangest thing we have touched on. A single self made from trillions of tiny semi-independent worlds, each cell with its own internal logic, each system with its own local rules, and yet all of them together, adding up to something that can say, I am tired, I am curious, I am listening to a relaxing science story to fall asleep to. The universe does not often assemble such things. You are rare in that way, even if you have never felt special. Scattered across time and space, there are people who will never know your name, but who move through their nights in similar patterns. They too lie awake sometimes with overthinking minds at night, wondering if they have broken themselves with stress, with screens, with worry. They too find channels and voices that talk about strange, gentle facts as a way to ease the transition into sleep. None of you are wrong for doing this. You are simply using what your mind already loves, history detail, oddity, as a bridge toward letting go. You are allowed to return to that bridge as often as you need. Some nights you might fall asleep in minutes, barely hearing the first few sentences. Other nights you may ride the entire length of a story awake, but calmer, only drifting off afterward. Both are valid. There is no high score here, no correct number of minutes it should take. Your nervous system is not a machine to be optimized. It is a living, adapting field of relationships among tiny, purposeful parts. As you lie here now, you might gather a few images from everything we have touched. Maybe you see your skin as a vast protective landscape, its outer layers like tiles in a quiet mosaic. Maybe you picture your blood as looping, branching rivers lit from within by the soft glow of oxygen. Perhaps your cell's tiny engines look to you like lanterns on a night shift, each one turning gently, never quite in unison, but all of them contributing to the same low hum of life. You can let those images drift together and then apart again, like fragments of a dream that has not fully decided what it wants to be. They do not need to be sharp. They do not need to be accurate. They are simply reminders that you are more than your thoughts about yourself. Your mind may tell you stories about being lazy behind not enough. Your tiny inner worlds tell a different story. Constant effort, constant maintenance, constant quiet tending in your favor. It is all right if you do not feel peaceful yet. Sometimes the body relaxes before the mind catches up. Sometimes the mind softens first, and the body takes a while to unwind its tension. Either way, you can stay with this gentle, slow voice a little longer, letting it be a kind of placeholder for safety, while the rest of you gradually adjusts. Every breath, every slow blink, every moment where you remember that you do not have to do anything is part of that adjustment. If you are on the edge of sleep now, hovering in that gray floating place, where sounds and images start to melt into each other. You do not have to pull yourself back just to hear how this ends. The tiny worlds under your skin will keep going. The heart will keep beating its steady drum. The lungs will keep trading air with the night. The brain will keep sliding into deeper waves. You can let the words fade into a soft murmur and let your own story take over from here. Whenever your strange, beautiful mind needs a soft place to rest again, you know where to find this little corner of the universe. You can always come back to these weird, gentle stories about what you are made of and use them as a reminder that complexity is not a flaw and that rest is not something you must earn by being impressive. You are a living collection of tiny oddities doing their best. For tonight, that is more than enough. Sleep if you can. Drift if you cannot. Either way, you are already held by the tiny worlds under your skin, and they are more patient with you than you have ever been with yourself. If your eyes are somehow still open, then this is just a little afterglow at the edge of the story we have already shared. Everything important is already happening without you needing to do anything new. The tiny worlds under your skin are still there unchanged by whether you listen closely or only float along the surface of these words. You have walked through skin and blood nerves and gut cells and genes, immune patrols, and sleepy brain waves. All of that is still true, whether you remember it tomorrow or not. If the details have already blurred, that is exactly what they were meant to do. They were never a test. They were only lanterns we lit for a while so that you could see how much quiet care is always unfolding inside you. Right now, in this exact moment, you are enough. Not the version of you who might exist months from now, with more habits fixed and more tasks completed, but the one lying here in the dark, with whatever mixture of tension and softness is present in your body. The tiny engines in your cells are not waiting for you to become a better person before they turn. They have chosen you as you are, and they keep choosing you with every breath. If thoughts still rise like little bubbles about work, family, health, the future, you do not have to wrestle them to the ground. You can treat them the way your immune cells treat harmless particles most of the time. Notice classify as not dangerous right now and let them drift past. There will be time to think again tomorrow. Tonight can be for being carried by processes that began long before you worried and will continue long after. You might feel, as you hover in this in-between place, that you are no longer really following the story. That is all right. At this point, the story is following you. It has curled up beside you, like a quiet companion, willing to stay as background murmur while you slip through the doorway into sleep. You do not have to keep the door open for it. You can let it close on its own as your breathing deepens and your awareness thins. If sleep does not come quickly, that is still okay. Rest is not a single perfect moment, but a series of small surrenders, unclenching a jaw, easing a shoulder, letting a thought go unanswered, allowing a sigh to become a little longer than usual. Each of those is a tiny kindness you can offer yourself no matter what else today has looked like. And if sleep is already gathering at the edges of your mind, soft and heavy, you can let it take you whenever it wants to. The tiny worlds under your skin know what to do from here. You are allowed to leave them unsupervised. You are allowed to disappear into dreams and leave no minutes of this night neatly accounted for. Being here breathing and existing has always been more than enough.